One thing I'll say about our trip to Cleveland, you really don't know how big Pennsylvania is until you have to cross it twice in 3 days. Here we go.
Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines on K98.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, people? Gene Baradelli here, rolling with my road crew. The gang that came with me to Cleveland to cover the GOP debates. You know them, you love them, you want to hear them more than you want to hear me. I'm talking about Vito DiGiovanni from the Vito and Vito Show and Politichick extraordinaire, Mona Salama. Hey guys, how you doing?
How's it going, Gene?
Hello, everybody.
And I think Paul Mary is somewhere in the background lurking, right?
Pretty much.
He's over here.
There he is. All right, well, listen, we got a great show for everybody. Of course, everybody's been talking all week ad nauseum about what some have called the mass debate, some have called the happy hour debate and the primetime debate. Of course, all the debates that happened at the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. Guys, what did you think of Cleveland?
I liked it. I like how they redid downtown. It reminded me of Brooklyn a little bit. Williamsburg, right? They redid everything with the casinos. East 4th Street had like the open bars outside.
It's literally a repeat of Stone Street, right? Wall Street. Oh my god, I felt like I was in New York all over again. And
Yeah,
oh
there
my
was that
god,
nice little
beautiful
strip,
people.
exactly.
Beautiful
Yes,
people.
absolutely. Surprisingly so, I would say. Because when
And
you
then
think
the
Midwest,
music,
you don't
the jazz
think
music
glamour.
everywhere.
Yes. Very much a city that is modernizing and it's on the grow. You can understand why the GOP has picked it for their centerpiece event, the RNC convention, right, Mona?
Wait, repeat that?
I said you can see why they have picked that location for the Republican National Convention.
Oh yeah, definitely, but I would have wanted Vegas for all of us to go there next year, but
Oh, of course.
I just came back from Vegas, I want to go back.
Oh, who doesn't want to go to Vegas? Of course.
December
let's
for
talk.
the next debate.
Well, and by the way, if you couldn't tell already, yes, Mona's a little bit of a diva when she travels. We're not going to get into all the stories, right, V?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. If
Let's
it's not me
just
getting
say-
radiant diva status, it's like driving you guys crazy at 8 hours, my diva status mode.
Somewhere there is a guy walking around with a glass bowl with like 807 green M&Ms in it, looking for Mona, saying, "Are these good enough?" Somewhere in Cleveland still.
Listen,
let's.
if McDonald's wants $15 an hour, and they don't even know how to do their damn job, missing orders, and try to slam the window in my face, Momo is gonna come out and show them what a real diva is.
Yes, do not stand between Mona and her sweet and sour sauce. But anyway,
The hard way.
into just a, we had a lot of good personal experiences at this event. Vito, what was the highlight for you?
Aside from the debate, I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That
Oh, yeah?
was a lot of fun.
Now,
I mean-
if anybody listens to the Vito and Vito show, that airs live Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on We Are America Radio, the number one political talk station on Live365.com, you probably know that Vito and Vito are kind of old souls when it comes to music. I think Paul Mary's all about the Beatles and you're all about the Stones, right?
That's right.
Wow, Amanda, people listen to the Vito
Oh,
Vito.
wow, Amanda.
Yeah. And by the way, yeah, what Vito and Mona are referencing is the live chat room we have going on during the show. If you're here with us live on We Are America Radio, jump into the chat room on www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Click on the Listen Live button at the top of the page, and you can log into the chat room with a great group of knuckleheads in there right now, making fun of Vito and Mona and talking about the Vito and Vito show and things like that. And if you're listening to us on replay on any of the number of networks that we're on, including WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station, welcome, and we're glad you're listening to us. But come on live with us, hang out in the chat, and you can interact, and I can borrow some of your lines so I can claim them as my own and be smarter than I actually am. But as far as a political highlight, Vito, obviously Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, big deal for you. I know that, you're a Stones guy. But political highlight, was there one that stood out for you?
My favorite actually was Carly Fiorina.
Yes.
During the happy hour debate. I think
coming out party for Carly.
I'm sorry?
It was a coming out party for Carly.
Absolutely. And you're going to see her poll numbers rise. I mean,
You see, it already is. She's number 4 now.
Absolutely. We were talking about this before the debate, me and Mona. We, on the Twitters.
On the Twitters, and we made videos, actually. We were trying this new thing out of showing our beautiful faces out to the public.
Because I have a face for radio, they say. So we tried that out. I mean, Carly was great. She really held her own. I think she was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Mona, what was the political highlight for you?
Me? My political highlight was, bashing, what's his name? Lindsey Graham on Twitter when he was like, how are you gonna defend, Planned Parenthood? And he's like, defeat ISIS. And I'm like, I know ISIS doesn't have Planned Parenthood back home, over there, wherever their caves are located. But they act the same. Planned Parenthood butchering people, ISIS beheading people. So I think they should mingle together.
Absolutely. We're going to go into the happy hour debate a little later on during the show. I guess for me, guys, the highlight for me was while you were making your video, and I was getting some quiet time, by the way, I got to attend the American Conservative Union's Buckeye Boot Camp run by Ned Ryan of Voter Gravity. And the things I learned about campaigning, really, really scary with the Obama campaign, I should say. How they revolutionized the campaign model and all the innovations that they brought to the table. And it was a cautionary tale of what's coming in 2016. We can have as many debates as we want, but if we don't up our game when it comes to effective use of voting technology, campaign technology, mobile devices, and if we don't wake up to the fact that social media has changed the game, I mean, one of the stats that came out to me more than anything else, and this is for all you wonks out there, between 87 and 88% of social media users vote regularly in elections. So when you see people online saying, I support so-and-so, or I support this one, they're serious as hell, and they're going to show up at the polls, and they're going to choose their voter. So when you start seeing all the Donald Trump talk online, 8 out of 10 of those people will show up at the polls, and they will pull a lever or fill in an oval or touch the screen for Donald Trump. It's kind of scary, Vito.
Absolutely, and you see after the debate, but between him and Megyn Kelly, everybody's saying, "Oh, Donald Trump was, he was too much." His poll numbers are increasing.
No, his poll numbers are decreasing, but it's staying the same. He's still number 1 in the polls.
Yeah, he's still number 1, but I see a lot of people still support him. Yeah. Some people are saying that he would just completely drop off, that he's a joke, but people are still supporting him and coming out strong. I mean, it's ridiculous to see how much support this guy has already, but it's going to be interesting for the next debate and when this guy keeps opening his mouth.
Well, his policy stuff is coming out within the weeks ahead, hopefully before the next debate. And the next debate is in 36 days, so we should see his policy plans and everything he's going to be talking about. Does he actually have a backup plan for his rants? I call it rants.
Yes, I mean, the word monologue is taken, so we gotta call them rants. Mm-hmm. By the way, and just a little cheap plug for Mona, if you haven't participated in one of her monologues, either on Twitter or on Facebook, Mona is really getting the pulse of the social media feeling and voter awareness, really, on issues, on candidates, whatever's hot during that day and topic. There'll be a poll or a question, and Mona really appreciates everybody's feedback on that, right, Mo?
Yeah, definitely. I like to know what the Patriots are like talking about and get the sense of how they feel. Because at the end of the day, those are the people who are gonna actually run to the polls come 2016. So, these are the people who are screaming, "Wake up, America!" And I thank them for their wasting their time and energy, you know, participating in my polls by giving me a page-long essay of what they think.
Yeah, some people go a little crazy in giving their opinions online, but that's, you know what? That's our bread and butter. That's our key demographic. We cater to the crazies here on Behind Enemy Lines Radio. Just ask my co-host, Russ Gallo. Shout out to Russ, by the way. Couldn't make it for this week's show. Working the night shift.
Don't lie,
whatever.
Don't lie. Me and Vito took over the Behind Enemy Lines.
Oh, wow.
Bye, Russ. Bye, Felicia.
And with that, it's time for our first break of the night. Gene and the gang being Vito and Mona, Behind Enemy Lines, will be back right after the station identification and some brief words.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. Separated. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ReadyPA.org, brought to you by ReadyPA, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene, Vito, and Mona, back behind me lines. And guys, let's talk about the happy hour debate. First of all, does anybody else hate that title of it?
Hate what?
Happy Hour Debate. The title of Happy Hour Debate for Mona. It's radio. You gotta keep up with me. Happy Hour Debate. What do you guys think of what that's being called?
From Ben Carson's event, and normally Ben Carson loves him to death, but he normally talks for 20 minutes and then he has his QA. He went an hour long, and you know how he sounds. He has very interesting issues and topics, but it's just his voice is like literally just put me to sleep.
He's very mellow.
Oh God. And literally,
you know what?
Mona trying to sleep at nighttime. That's shocking. And I'm about to fall asleep.
Wow. Okay, so listen, before we get to the happy hour debate, you're breaking a little bit of news here. Ben Carson in the People's Republic of New York City, meeting with the members of the Queens Republican Party, explain what the event was and how it went.
Well, he's been in New York all day today. He said he went to the 9/11 museum and just reminiscing of what just happened, of the jihadist attack and everything. And we cannot have this again. And then he went to Harlem today too. He made a lot of appearance on Fox and Fox Business, and then he came to Queens, and Queens was very, very happy that he was there. I really thought Queens would be more of a Chris Christie, George Pataki fans. No, they're actually fans of Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, Scott Walker, Ted Cruz type. And it was he really gave it all his campaign speech all in 1 hour, and couldn't keep up.
Vito, what'd you think? Is he just a flavor of the month, or was there real interest in Ben Carson in Queens?
The crowd that showed up definitely showed real interest. I mean, the Queens GOP welcomed him with open arms. It's definitely bringing more awareness, bringing these candidates to Queens, to New York, how liberal it is. But going forward, to see maybe more candidates can actually come by New York and speak and meet and greet. This helps the grassroots definitely here in New York.
I think it does. I'm sure he was here picking up a little bit of change as well, somewhere, but that'll be in the news later on, I'm sure. But let's get back to the happy hour debate. Obviously, the big story, Vito, coming out of it, Carly Fiorina. We all thought that CPAC was her coming out party, but this was really the big opening for the Fiorina campaign.
Absolutely. She keeps proving herself more and more often. People knew she was going to do well. I think she's one of those sleepers that Should be in the top 10 debate, and her poll numbers increased after this as expected, and she definitely outshined the others on the stage and really held her own.
And one of the things that we all did in between commercial breaks when we were at the ACU event at the House of Blues during the happy hour debate is we went up to different voters that were attending. And, of course, these are your triple prime, super active volunteers and totally gung-ho Republican voters that are guaranteed to turn out. And I gotta say, every woman in there over 40, 100% across the board, all were saying Carly Fiorina is now my candidate. 90% of the women under 40 in the room, all about Carly Fiorina. If there is going to be a voting block coming up, I think the women vote on the Republican side may have a little something to say during the caucuses and the primaries early on. Moni, do you think that women are going to turn out for Carly Fiorina?
Yeah, definitely. They were turning out for Carly Fiorina during CPAC, and a lot of them have been crazy, but she's been keeping a low profile. But during conventions and conferences, especially like we went to New Hampshire, first in the nation, South Carolina, and the voter forum that Monday before the debate, people were really riling up to Carly Fiorina. And now that they hear it, and over 30 million people watch the debate, and now a lot of people are getting to know this lady, they're actually loving what she's saying, and she's not holding back. But she does it in a very classy and very tasteful way, and her attacks is attacking on issues, not attacking on substance.
And that seems to be the case with everyone except for Chris Christie and Rand Paul, and we'll get to them a little later, of course. Let's talk about the other side of the ledger. Vito, what candidates need to get off the stage right now from the happy hour debate?
Without a doubt, Lindsey Graham. I mean, aside from how big of a rhino this guy is, I mean, if you saw the debate, he was a mess. He was, just going on, ranting. All he was talking about is foreign policy and ISIS, as Mona said before when they asked him about Planned Parenthood. This guy's a mess. His poll numbers are very low. I mean, near zero. He needs to exit immediately.
But I don't think he's going to, Vito, because South Carolina is an early state in the primary process.
Yeah,
but
he's
think third
42% in South Carolina, so he has to drop
out.
But
if he wins his home state,
he's not. Gee.
Really?
Not.
All right. So Mona is predicting right now. So are you predicting right now Lindsey Graham will lose his home state?
I'm predicting, and I'm following the polls of South Carolina. He's not leading whatsoever. People in South Carolina, 60% of South Carolina don't even know who he is and don't even want him running for president. So
wow, I got her banging on the table. So, okay, Lindsey Graham off the stage. I agree with you. I think he's going to try to hang around till South Kakalaki, but we'll see what happens there. In my opinion, you want to throw into the dustbin of history, former Governor Jim Gilmore, get off the stage. I don't even know why you were there. And
another former
I'm going to say it. I'm from the People's Republic of New York.
I want to say it.
Go ahead. Because
you know what he did to us in New Hampshire? We literally went up to him. Boston Herald, I think it was, had an interview with him, the radio. Me and Vito D went up to him, asked him nicely. We're like, hey, we're young conservatives in New York. We want to get your name out there. Can you do a radio appearance? He's like, yes, sure, no problem, especially for my New Yorkers. 5 minutes later, he ran away from us. So, screw you, Pataki. Get the hell off this damn.
Whoa!
Calling him out.
I love it. I love it. Wow.
And if
okay,
I have
so
to
that
hear
was
about 9/11 one more time, shoot me.
Well, we can't arrange that. But I do know a guy who knows a guy. Yeah, George Pataki, time to get off the stage. I think your moment has passed. If you didn't do it in 2008, you shouldn't be doing, and you didn't do it in 2012, your moment is here and gone. That's it. Now, okay, so, next question. Let me just ask you this one real quick. Two other candidates that kind of find themselves in limbo right now. Bobby Jindal and Rick Santorum. Mm-hmm. Stay on the stage or get off the stage, Vito?
Off. Both of them.
Both? Really?
Yes. Bobby Jindal, if he's struggling in his home state, if people don't want to reelect him, how can he get the support of the nation? He's had his own issues with the budget and everything in Louisiana. And Rick Santorum, I mean, come on. How many times this guy's going to run again? I think the field's just way too crowded. I think he missed his boat. I think there's better candidates we can focus on and get behind.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Santorum, even though, you know, the social issues are coming to the fore a little bit with Planned Parenthood news, of course, another video coming out recently. Mona, has Rick Santorum's time passed as well? Does he get off the stage?
Yeah, because he had it in 2012, and because after he won the 11th state after Super Tuesday, Mitt Romney people sent out a bash attack, and he dropped out like a scaredy cat he is, and he thinks he's actually gonna come back from behind like he did in 2012. No, your time has passed. You had a chance in 2012. You got scared because of establishment. So what makes you think you're actually gonna win with a field of 17?
Right, and all these candidates we're talking about are polling under 2% right now, including Rick Perry, who last time was a big contender. I mean, you know, how great he did in Texas, but it's a little surprising how low he's polling because of, you know, so many candidates.
And then with Santorum, he's switching his issue. He went from social conservative to, foreign issues, and, now he had a momentum to take over Planned Parenthood and fight this battle, and he's not using that to his advantage.
Well,
he's talking about how
I'll agree with you on that.
Make an amendment or something about foreign issues or something. And I'm like, really? You were in the Foreign Exchange Committee? That's interesting.
I remember during the debate watch party, I remember tweeting out something that says, when you're talking about legislation that you passed back in 1996, and then you try to put yourself as a candidate for change, it's not exactly a good sign. 1996, 19 years ago. Oh my God, Mona was 1 year old in 1996.
No,
I have just feeling.
I was.
Oh, Vito was 1 year old.
I was.
Oh my goodness, I feel just.
I was 9.
Listen, I feel old either way. Okay, so thanks a lot for that. But you guys brought up. You guys brought up Rick Perry, and I'm in mourning because the news out of the Perry campaign is that it looks like the coffers are running dry, and the campaign in South Carolina is working on the arm. They're working as volunteers now. They're sticking with the campaign for now, probably because they're being promised money in the future, but not a good sign for the Rick Perry campaign. And Rick Perry, if not for Carly Fiorina, probably had the best debate performance in the happy hour debate, Vito.
Absolutely. He's still strong. I mean, he shows that he's still a contender, that he knows what he's talking about. You know, he remembered the agencies that he wants to cut this time. And he shows that he can be with the top 10. It's just the poll numbers aren't there to support him right now. The money isn't there either.
With Republicans, you're never going to forget what happened before in the past. And, now with this crowded field and, with, Donald Trump in it, it's very hard for Rick Perry to outshine everybody when he has actually the best record of every governor out there running. I would even say over Scott Walker. And if it wasn't for Rick Perry shouting out Carly Fiorina to negotiate with the Iran deal over John Kerry, I don't think Carly Fiorina would have had that too much attraction like that as she had with her own personal stage debate. So I think he gave her a good shout out, and that really played in her favor. That's my opinion.
Oh, you know what? I went to mute on that. You know what happened? I went to mute. You guys heard me. Everybody else didn't. So I'm going to ask it again, so that way we all said it. Rick Perry, obviously, the situation with his money was an issue. And the shout out to Carly Fiorina definitely helped her out. And if not, I think that we all agree, and what you said yes to earlier, just say yes to it again, that Carly Fiorina is the only winner out of the happy hour debate.
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, there you go. So we're going to take another break right now. I'm going to figure out how to get these microphones to work after 5 years of doing radio. And but while I'm doing that, we're going to give the mic over, and this is probably my favorite part of every show. I know it's Vito's favorite part of every show, because this is the only time he tunes in. Time for a little Reverend Al.
Which Vito?
That would be Paul Mary.
Oh, no, he's passed out.
Oh, no, that's hard to say.
I'm telling you, Carson put all three of us to sleep.
Oh, well, you know what? He's going to miss out on the Reverend Al Sharpton here on Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after this quick word from the Reverend Al.
The show will be right back. But first, a word from Al Sharpton.
But resist we much. We must They're all jitty about a shutdown. The tortoise in the race, then co-author of Hubris. U2 lead singer Bono, Fran Drescher, Sigourney Weaver, suspect Jahar Tsarnaev, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, the show Rush Lombard hosts Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Is Mike Muckery yesterday, Antonin Scalia, Kim Kardashian, and the Republican candidates, both Cairo and Benghazi. We rank behind Lavita. First stop, Kazakhstan to college students in Beijing. He's getting lunch at Chipotle in Iowa. Bain is appropriate. The GOP's tax day giveaway to millionaires. Why was traffic problems email sent? The Environmental Projection Agency and what sequestration has done.
But wait, there's more.
We all know I've had my share of prompter issues. And here's the president meeting with a cola cube. Republicans, Grinches, launching fistful of coal. Copies of the new issue of Charlie Hebdo. He also goes by the name Michael Zahabiba. 26-year-old Nina. Phone. Ray Romano. Honor David Letterman. He died of accidental asphyxia. Al-Qaeda in Yemen. The start of school has been postponed several times. Massive manhood is underway. Who spoke at a white supremacist convention. You look at the hand you dealt with, there are not 60 Republicans after a historic. When you hear of ISIS now waterboating, all over the map on immigration. Did the New England Patriots cheat to get into the big game? NFL analyst and Hall of Fame player Troy Aikens, the writer slamming President Obama for talking with YouTube celebrities. What's the latest tonight in Iowa?
Well, in Ottawa.
And all we can get is an internet show? Let's get back to it.
Gene, Vito, and Mona back behind enemy lines. Before I bring the gang back in, just to put a little ribbon around the whole happy hour debate. Right after the debate at the House of Blues in Cleveland, I was fortunate enough to run into Congressman Jim Jordan from Ohio and just get a snap reaction from him about the happy hour debate and what he thought about it. Obviously, he was very diplomatic about it because the Ohio Republican Party was throwing everything, and he didn't want to come out and say who he thought his favorites were. But here's what he did have to say. Here in Cleveland, minutes after the debate with Congressman Jordan from the great state of Ohio. Thank you very much for joining me right now. Just snap reaction to what you heard today in the first debate that we've heard, the big one to come.
Well, I mean, here's the bottom line. It's a good field. It is a good. I've never seen in my time in my lifetime since Reagan, where we had this many quality candidates. So whoever emerges as our nominee, I think we're going to have a good candidate. We're going to be able to win, which is critical to get away from the Obama-Clinton way of looking at things, big government, power in the executive branch, and get back to respect for the Constitution and doing what we told the voters we were going to do when we ran for the job.
In milling through the crowd during the commercial breaks, I kept hearing Carly Fiorina's name being mentioned by everyone about how she made the biggest impression. Did you feel the same way?
I happened to be in an event in California last week where she did a nice job. But look, I think there are lots of good candidates, and one thing I know is you have the semis before you get to the finals. So let's see who emerges from the semifinals, who our finalist is. I'm confident they're going to be good. Our nominee is going to be strong, the kind of leader we want, and the kind of individual who can take it to Ms. Clinton or whoever emerges on their side.
So is it fair to say that the Republican Party is definitely putting their best foot forward with this debate schedule that they set up?
I think so. I mean, look, my chief of staff said this a while back. He said in 1996, a guy named Maury Taylor ran for president. No one remembers him. I didn't remember him. But my chief of staff said that he, in the Iowa caucuses, finished 8th. Today, the person in 8th place on the Republican side is a guy like John Kasich or Bobby Jindal or, Christie. I mean, governor, a good candidate. That, again, shows the depth and breadth of this field. So that's what excites me. And, let's get to this election and get Barack Obama out of office and get a Republican in there.
And very finally, just a word about the great job that the Ohio Republican Party has done in putting this all together.
Super job. All kinds of events around town and a great event here tonight.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. And we are at halftime here, folks, on Behind Enemy Lines. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. I'm Gene. I got Vito and Mona on the line with us. Russ is on a little bit of a break right now. And while I got you listening, be sure to check out www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on Facebook and on Twitter at BEL_radio. And right after you do that, go right to www.BrooklynYRS.com. That's the organization where this show grew out of. Check them out, support them. It's a great place to go to. I love going to their site. And of course, my site, BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on the interwebs. Bringing back Mona and Vito DiGiovanni from the Vito and Vito Show. Mona, of course, with Politichicks. Guys, time to start talking about the main event a little bit.
Dun, dun, dun.
And, of course, when you talk about the main event, you're talking Donald Trump, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, boy.
That guy, let me tell you something. I think Russ called him last week the Teflon Donald. Is there any... short of...
fan.
Well, he may be a little bit of a bandwagon fan, I'll give you that. But you know what? Short of a hooker in the trunk, or Jimmy Hoffa being found on Trump ground somewhere, can anything stop this guy?
Yeah, the truth.
I think if he keeps opening his mouth, I think the poll numbers will drop. Because there's no way he can keep going this long.
So you're of the mind that I'm kind of at, saying that sooner or later Donald Trump's going to say something so outrageous and it's going to happen so often that he'll eventually be gone and we won't hear from him anymore.
Hopefully. But, I don't know if he's going to run third party.
Yeah, he will. I mark my words. That's a bet we're going to have. We should have a bet with all of us. Brooklyn, you down for that bet?
Yeah, you know what? I'll put the predictions online. Every time you want to have a prediction, I'll put it online, because what I did for this show, and this is actually a good segue for it, I took some of the predictions from last week's show that Russ and I made, and some of them came true, some of them didn't. Here's the first one that did come true about the ratings. Russell actually said this during the show.
Donald Trump, by the way, speaking of debate.
I have a prediction about Trump, too. Trump will not throw the first punch.
He might not, but this is great for the Republican Party. We finally got a celebrity on stage. This is going to be the most watched debate probably in presidential history. So
obviously you're listening to it on your end right now, but Russell said it. The most watched debate. Right now, but got to turn down your voice there, guys. There you go. Russell said it. The most watched debate in primary history, and it happened. Are you guys still with me or what?
We are.
If you're not,
but yeah. I mean, Donald Trump brought in the rating. I think it broke records. Over 20 or 30 million people watched this. I mean, people I know who are definitely not politically involved, so they're definitely watching just to see what kind of stuff is going to come out of Donald's mouth.
But while they're watching Donald, they're also getting their eyeballs exposed, not in a dirty way, to the other candidates on the stage. I mean, this is the first time that a crowd this large has heard Ted Cruz speak. This is the first time a crowd this large has heard John Kasich speak. This is a crowd for the first time this large that heard Chris Christie speak. So say what you want about Donald Trump. This is a benefit for the Republican Party as a brand because more eyeballs got to see the Republican Party do what they do. I thought that was a good thing.
Absolutely. Different candidates can definitely take advantage of the opportunity like Ted Cruz did, Ben Carson absolutely did. But, I don't think Rand Paul really did, because a lot of people say he came out too aggressive and was too much on the attack, coming after Trump and going after too many candidates. He was too much like a bulldog, and people kind of caught on to that and didn't really like it. But guys like Cruz and Carson kept that cool, kept the time, everything conformed, and knew what they were talking about. Really, I think, show what they're made of. And
don't forget Rubio. Rubio went up in the polls too.
Absolutely, Rubio too. So many candidates, you forget.
Let's talk about Marco Rubio for a second, Mona, because you went to an event before the debates with Marco Rubio there, and it seems like he may be, I would say either the second or the third candidate out of the primetime debate that saw a real benefit from his performance.
Yeah, like we went to it was a rally in a bar, and it was like 400 people, and I would say over 90% of them were young millennials. And it was like really like, the guy the state chairman of the Ohio, I think he's the treasurer. He endorsed Rubio, and he's like literally like Russ and you, Gene H, and he's a former I think Army or Marine, and he endorsed Rubio for his presidency, and I think he became the Ohio chairman for Rubio's campaign. And a lot of millennials came out.
I believe that's Dave Yost, who's the treasurer of Ohio. I believe that's who we're talking about. I'll check it out later and
No.
correct
He's a treasurer, but he became the chairman of Rubio's campaign for Ohio.
I'm not Grandma Ohio.
Oh, I understand. Okay. Yeah. I got you now. Well, yeah, I mean, and you said young crowd, and that's kind of what people want to tap into when you're on the campaign trail. I know that the over 65 crowd is the one that most reliably votes. But the next generation of voters, if you're not interested now, listen, I don't know what's going to get you interested. You have probably the best field ever in the history of the Republican Party running for office. If you're not excited about this, Vito, you don't belong following politics.
I mean, it's hard enough to get people involved in politics, but when you get Donald Trump running, how can you not watch and pay attention? But you definitely see Marco Rubio getting the young vote. People thought Rand Paul would do the same, but he's not having as much luck with the millennials. But Rubio definitely had a lot of support in Ohio. We saw that he packed that place, and he's really popular with the young millennials.
Well, you need to go look at Rand Paul's communication director person. He literally attacked Fiorina before the debate. I forgot to tell you guys. He found Fiorina's script of her like announcement or whatever, like for her pre-debate, and he blasted it on Twitter. It's really like embarrassing. Like, really gonna go after a lady because she was like prepping for the debate? At least she prepped.
Speaking of Rand Paul, some comments in the chat room saying that Rand Paul is done, that he came out a loser of the debate. Did Rand Paul do himself a disservice? Did he lose in this first round of debates? Either one of you guys.
I mean, I believe he's down to 3%. His poll numbers definitely got hurt, but he came out too aggressive. I mean, he nailed it on the government getting too involved with your life. With the Fourth Amendment with Chris Christie, that's his thing. We always know that about Rand Paul, but the rest of the debate, he was just too aggressive, and he definitely came off the wrong way. I think it hurt him in the long run.
Well, Russell and I talked about Rand Paul in our prediction portion last week. Let's see what we said about him.
I think Rand Paul will do well in this debate.
I disagree.
Why?
I think Rand Paul gets lost in the shuffle.
I don't think so. Rand Paul, and you've been to lots of these things, Gene, the poll bots are there. In force.
Totally. They're going to be there.
In mass. So as soon as Paul says something that these poll bots are passionate about, he's going to get the cheers and the jeers, and it's going to sound like he's doing great. I think Paul does good in debate.
So Russ thought he was going to do good. I was not sold on it, but I was on for different reasons. Listen, and if you heard the exchange between Christie and Paul, the crowd did rally behind Rand Paul because he sounded like one of the poll bots that we all ran into at every single event that we go to. Read the Bill of Rights. You don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 like they always do all the time in trying to shout down an opposition voice to what they're saying. So, I think Russ was wrong on this one. I think I was kind of right. Rand Paul did not come out on top, especially with that exchange with Chris Christie. Say what you want about Chris Christie, Rhino, whatever you want to call him. He did better in that exchange than Rand Paul did. I don't know if it won him any points, though. What do you guys think? Mona, let's start with you. What do you guys think about the exchange between Christie and Paul?
Well, but let's go back 15 seconds into the debate. Rand had every right to be like, why are you going to run third party? So I think he won that part because Trump, like he said before, he was not going to do it. And then he raises his hand. And then Rand had every right to go on defense and be like, attack him like, why? So you're placing bets on Hillary to win the nomination? So as for the exchange with Christie, I think he won that part.
Do you think who won? Rand?
Rand, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Look at the crowd. Look at the crowd. How when he was like, I know you want to go hug President Obama, and everybody went crazy, laughing, hysterical, cheering him on because they remember what happened in 2012.
Now, is that a result of the Rand Paul supporters being in mass, or is that because he was right?
I think in the debate, it was not only Rand Paul supporter, it was everybody there. It was a lot of older people in the watch party, it was a lot of older people in the debate, and they all were happy about that little red piece segment.
Okay. Well, speaking of Chris Christie, here's what I had to say last week about which Chris Christie would show up. The kindly, gentler one, or the prosecutor provocateur that we all know here in the Northeast. Take a listen to my prediction. I actually got one right.
But who fires the first shot in the debate? Because it's all going to be friendly and congenial in the beginning, but then someone's going to step over the line.
I think that Jeb Bush throws the first punch. Jeb Bush has the most to lose.
Nope, I disagree with you. Chris Christie's going to throw the first punch. He's pugnacious. He confronts people. He's a prosecutor.
I don't know.
Well, I did know, Russ, so take that one. That's one for Gene. Put it on the tote board. I beat Russ Gallon in a prediction. Chris Christie, did he win any support during this debate, guys? Vito, start with you.
I personally don't think so. Chris Christie lowered the numbers of the polls. His big thing was with Rand Paul, that exchange. But just too many candidates really to have anyone speak their mind too much. I don't think Christie had too big of an impact this time around.
I don't think he had no impact. Like, if you look at, like, the 10 stage debate, you can see, like, Ted Cruz nailed it, Carson nailed it, Rubio nailed it. But there's no talk about Christie. The only thing you talk about is Christie and Rand. Everything else is just, like, lost in the white pages, you can say.
Yeah, the white noise of the
white
debate.
Noise.
Now, it's because you have 10 people on the stage, and you'll have a limited amount of time for each of them to have their moment. Did anybody do themselves a disservice during the primetime debate? Or did everybody have their nice little moment to keep themselves either in neutral or moving a little bit forward? Did anybody do really badly, in your opinion, Vito?
I think Rand Paul. You know, I do like him, but I think he came out too aggressive, and it hurt him in the long run. You saw his poll numbers took a hit. I think he came off way too aggressive. How he didn't want to come out, and I think he definitely lost this debate, and it shows that it hurt him.
I'll add one other name to who lost the debate, and someone we haven't talked about yet, surprisingly, so far into this show, Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush was robotic. He was over-rehearsed. He looked awkward. He looked tentative. He did not come off as presidential. Mona, what did you think of Jeb Bush?
I think he was scared that Donald was gonna attack him. That's why, like, everybody, like, including Eugene, wore all black during that debate, because they thought they were gonna see a funeral massacre because of the Donald. And he was literally scared about that. So, I think he was just, like, literally hiding in the corner, hoping, like, nobody would attack him. And he literally got away with murder that day.
Some people in the chat room are thinking I stole their line. I have my own script here, folks, okay? So let's not, I don't always steal your ideas in the chat room. By the way, the chat room's hopping. I want to thank everybody for participating in there. I want to know from the chat room, of course, and here's where I'll steal from you. Who won, who lost, and who was meh? That's what I want. Won, lost, and meh. Give it to me in the chat room, and we'll take a few of you from in there, and we'll put it up on the board here. We'll steal some of your stuff. I mean, borrow some of your stuff.
Oh, we'll just ignore it, like always.
Now, exactly. Who had the best moment on the stage? For me, I'll put it out there. I don't want to influence anybody. The best moment for me on the stage was Ben Carson's closing speech, when he talked about all the firsts that he had in compared to the other candidates, and he went off onto his medical background. I thought that was a feel-good moment, and I thought that endeared a lot of voters who really don't care about policy but want to care about personality. Ben Carson endeared himself to a lot of voters.
Damn it, Gene, you stole my talking points.
Aw, listen, you gotta read my script before the show. Show prep. Keep telling everybody, show prep. But what'd you think of Carson's closing remarks?
It was phenomenal, like the fact that he said, like, I literally removed half the brain before, and he was like, you wouldn't even know if you were in Washington. He literally like dissed like half the senators there. And I like the fact when like Megyn Kelly finally asked him a question, he was like, hey, thanks for remembering me 45 minutes later. I was like, oh, KO, Ben Carson.
And this debate was about that KO moment. I think Ben Carson realized that. Amanda Kohut in the chat room just said, excellence in soundbitery for Ben Carson in talking about, the high points of the debate.
She says Cruz won. Somebody who does not like Cruz actually says he won the debate.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Ted.
About to have a heart attack.
And let's talk about Ted Cruz for a moment, because we have some in the chat room, Ted Cruz was a winner. Some in the chat room saying Ted Cruz was a loser. Vito, Ted Cruz, winner or loser?
Ted Cruz was definitely a winner in this debate, because while, everything's going on with Christie and Rand and Donald Trump, Cruz kept to himself. He held his points, he knew what he was talking about, and he managed the time. He didn't feel rushed, even though such a small amount of time to talk. I think Cruz really got his point across and took advantage, the best out of anybody, along with Ben Carson, of having so many people watching the debate thanks to Donald Trump. He really got his message across, and I think he became more favorable with people who would say that he's a religious nut or he's too radical for people. I think he really came off how he wanted to, and I think it's going to help him in the next debate in the future.
Good point. Mona, listen, Ted Cruz probably had a lot of negatives in his reputation with the uninformed voter going into this debate. Do you think that those same voters left with a better impression of Ted Cruz, or do they still think he's just a right-wing maniac?
I would hope that no matter what, these uninformed voters are going to listen to the uninformed. So everybody has the impression that Cruz shuts down the government, and he's going to get attacked on that. But hopefully this debate, Cruz talking about the Washington Cartel, him fighting against them, and that's the reason why he shut the government down. Hopefully we will, wake up America and make them realize that Cruz knows what the hell he's talking about.
My personal opinion on Ted Cruz was he looked the most presidential on the stage out of all of them. As Vito said, calm, even-tempered, right down the line for every question, most prepared, articulate. I think if you had a negative impression of Ted Cruz before the event, you came off thinking about him a little bit differently if you were truly listening and watching what was going on. Some people look at Ted Cruz now and think, you know what? He's not the raving lunatic that people make him out to be on the left. He didn't come out that way at all. He was actually quite calm and composed and presidential. And I think when you contrast him with a Donald Trump or a Chris Christie, I think that shines through for people, because people are tired of game playing in Washington. Ted Cruz is all about going against the Washington Cartel, as Mona said. And Ted Cruz, while it will feed the red meat to those conservatives and be able to talk about these talking points without sounding like a raving maniac. And the more people see that, the more that I think they're going to enjoy what Ted Cruz has to say. He's got nowhere to go but up with his numbers. And as we see some of these other candidates drop out, Ted Cruz will be a beneficiary of that. Put that as my prediction for this show. Just want to take a quick break in talking about the debates, guys. I want to give everybody a plug for coming on the show. Of course, Vito DiGiovanni, who I like to call the Vito of the Vito and Vito show. Not like that other Vito. Vito, give yourself some plugs, the show, where it's on, where we can all listen to it, and all your social media and all that other nonsense that you do so well.
Well, you can check us out, the Vito and Vito show, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on We Are America Radio, and of course WNJC in Philadelphia, Fridays at 1, and for network listings and everything else for Vito and Vito, VitoandVito.com. Give us a follow and a like on Facebook at Vito and Vito Show.
He really is a needy little boy, folks. He wants you to like him and love him and call him George. Because Vito... by the way, I've never heard the word Vito used so many times in one sentence in all my life. That was very good. Mona, tell everybody where we can find all your writings on Politichicks and where they can find you on social media so they can participate in your monologues.
Find me on Facebook, Mona Salama, Salama. Find me on Twitter, I'm Political Crazy. And you can find my work with Politichicks.com.
Fantastic. And yes, the most aptly named Twitter handle that I know, at Political Crazy from Mona Salama. Back to the debate talk. Let's just talk overall. Both debates combined, guys. Who was the top winner of all the debates together? The whole day, who won? Mona, start with you.
I say Rubio.
Okay, Vito, what do you say?
Carly Fiorina.
Okay. I would tend to agree with Carly. I think that she did the most to help herself. I don't think anybody on the primetime debate hurt themselves. And I think the three old fogies that we talked about, Pataki, Gilmore, and Graham, sorry guys, your time is up. Everybody else's time is now. And that's how I feel about that. Let's do a little final thought time. We're going to end things a little early tonight because I got somewhere to go tonight. So, whatever. I have a life. You guys don't. I got somewhere to go tonight.
I didn't get an invite.
We'll talk after the show. Don't worry. I'll come pick you up. But it's time for final thoughts. So, you guys flip a coin, decide who wants to go first. Ready, and go.
Carly Fiorina definitely came out on top of this one. I really like her. Her poll number is going to go up.
And it's going already up.
They're going to keep going up even more, Mona, because the next debate, she's going to be even better. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this.
She's going to be in the top 10.
Top 10. Donald Trump is going to slowly inch his way down because he's going to keep opening his mouth.
Yes, agree with everything Vito said. Donald Trump is going to still be nagging and whining, like, why are you attacking me type stuff. As for conservatives, stop with this whole boycott Megyn Kelly, boycott Fox News, grow the F up. And literally, let's unite. Let's get a Republican elected in 2016. And let's have fun.
Right. Leave my girl Megyn alone.
Yes. Because you know what? She did us a favor. And she showed us that the Donald Trump is all talk.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Vito DiGiovanni, Mona Salama, you guys are awesome. Time for my final thought. And I'm going to take a little bit of time with this one because I think it's worth going through a little bit. I think it's time to start seeing the decline of the Donald. We put up a story and a meme this week talking about and developing this idea that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the idea of the Trump-servative. When it comes to Donald Trump, he's not a conservative, folks. We've called him Trump-servative here on the show. It has a double meaning. For Donald Trump, Trump-servative means that I'm using the Republican Party and the Republican brand as a means to an end, to serve my own needs, to get what I want, which is a win. All fine, well, and good. I think every candidate should try to develop their own brand. Trump is the king of developing brands. But Trump-servative means a little something different when it comes to Donald Trump supporters. I think too many conservatives out there are compromising their core values and beliefs by supporting Donald Trump and excusing the positions that Donald Trump has taken in the past because it's become a cult of personality. And what did a cult of personality do for us when President Obama was elected in 2008 and in 2012? Here's the issue, folks. Donald Trump's positions are not conservative positions. Has anybody seen his support of a single-payer healthcare system in Canada? That's right. The exact same system that every liberal, including that liberal maniac Anthony Weiner, before he let little Carlos Danger out of the bag, that man supported and was touring the nation talking about a single-payer healthcare system. Well, guess what? Donald Trump's for that. But I guess conservatives can look past that because Donald Trump has a catchy phrase and he wants to build a wall on the Mexican border. Donald Trump said recently on CNN that he would consider continuing to fund Planned Parenthood, even though video after video after video has come out showing that Planned Parenthood's practices are at the very least questionable, and for those of us who take it as truth almost, possibly criminal. Donald Trump says, well, I can consider supporting Planned Parenthood and keep giving them money for their operations so long as they don't include abortion. Which, by the way, is what government does anyway, and as we discussed last week, you allow them to use private money for for abortions while they get the public money in to support everything else that they have to take care of. But conservatives can look past all that because he's Donald Trump. Folks, it's time to wake up and be adults. Donald Trump has done good things for the party. He's highlighted the issues of illegal immigration. He's brought more eyeballs to the Republican primary than has ever been in my lifetime. But the negatives are starting to outweigh the positives, and it's time to kick the habit. It's time to kick the habit of Donald Trump. I think he should be gone by Christmas or New Year's. I hope he is. He's done his part for the movement, even though the movement for him was Donald Trump.
It's time for some music of the movement. Here's Dirty Uncles with Face of the New Democracy on We Are America Radio. War.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan.
Cause we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect, or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place of the left's hypocrisy. Little pink houses for you and me. Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Here in the land of the not so free. Oh, 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 oh,
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those on the take. Attorney generals lying even while on the road, ignoring dying veterans and border agents both. Hey, shut your mouth, swallow your pride. What does it matter? Our ambassador died. There's nothing you can do about it, might as well face it. Disagree with anything you label racist. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place of the left's hypocrisy. Little pink houses for you and me. Welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Here in the land of the not so free. Oh, 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 oh,
I'm not interested in photo ops.
That's it for us tonight, folks. I want to thank everybody in the chat room for listening. Of course, I want to thank Vito DiGiovanni and Mona Salama for coming on the show. It's time to shut the sucker down here. Talk to you all next week. We are out of here.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. A Rock Radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days. Out.